Spending time in nature, I feel a rejuvenation, a deep and ancestral connection to something greater, an intuitive and creative force shaped by millions of years of evolution. Yet in my daily life, I become increasingly reliant on the power of AI logic and decision making. It makes me wonder, are we at the precipice of losing that connection to our ancient wisdom, or can we merge the growing power of AI with our natural vision and instincts to reach new heights of human potential? I've always been the type that leaned heavily into rationale to make decisions and to fall back on what I thought is the correct choice. I would say very much to a fault. But recently, I decided to move out of Los Angeles and start out on this little digital nomad journey as part of a transition to something new. And I'm not sure what it is yet, but in order to finally break through that decision, I trusted my gut. I relied on a greater intuition and an instinct that finally just spoke loud enough to get me to take action and move forward. During that time, I relied heavily too on prompting ChatGPT, on researching all the aspects of any upcoming decision that I might make. But even with the most sound logic, it didn't quite land. And ultimately, when instincts and my gut feeling drove me to take action, it felt like something was lifted and a natural push was behind me to move forward and gain momentum on a new path, on a path of action and new experience and transformation. The majority of my daily life is at a computer. I'm happy for it. I'm made for it. So I'm constantly researching and these days chatting with AI and its logic and power and leveraging the knowledge that it has. But I also love getting out into nature and hiking and separating myself from the weight and onslaught of input and alerts and communications. And during that time is when I feel the most, when I have a deeper connection to that gut, when I can think most clearly. And I'm becoming conscious of the power of that, the clear choice to tap into that side for bigger decisions, for trusting that gut instinct to guide me at a higher level. If you think about our history, we are human animals, and we've evolved over time to adapt and survive. We don't often think about human animal instincts today. We live in a very conscious and attached world, but you can still see these instincts inherent in our animal brethren within the natural kingdom, with birds and their migratory patterns following magnetic fields, salmon finding their way up the river to spawning grounds. They're not thinking consciously about their decisions. They're not pulling up coordinates on Google Maps or whatever the fish equivalent of that is. But we're not so removed in our history from these kind of instincts. Not so long ago, relatively, we had to engage in our fight or flight for survival on a daily basis, whether it's danger from predators, from competing tribes, from weather. We had to very quickly tap into those instincts to make decisions based on many inputs to ensure the survival of ourselves and the people around us that we cared about. Although we might not think about it in quite the same way, we still might be able to sense that some of these urges and calls to action come from a deeper place, a gut feeling, as we say, to make decisions, to rely on our subconscious and our emotional feeling as we process that bigger decision. Our instincts offer a nuanced interpretation of complex emotions and social cues and multiple inputs that cannot be fully replaced by AI. In the author Robert Greene's book, Mastery, he talks about the power of intuition and how it shapes decision-making as a craftsperson or professional moves towards the pinnacle of their ability within a field. The more we learn, the more these complex skills and abilities become ingrained into our subconscious. The less decision-making, the less conscious thought and processing we have to do. So across a lifetime, especially within several different fields, you gain unique expertise compounded against human emotion, human interaction, and it gives you a higher instinct, a higher intuition towards making decisions quickly, making decisions deeply and intuitively that can transcend logic, that can transcend just raw computational decision making. As powerful as AI is and as powerful as it promises to become, it doesn't think the same way that we do. It doesn't have intuition, but it has incredible power with weighing a vast amount of data and making rational, weighed decisions based on that input. In contrast to our intuitive and subconscious decision making based on feelings, emotions, and abstract thought, AI can weigh massive amounts of data and draw conclusions across patterns that humans could never quite see. Think about analyzing medical diagnosis across millions and millions of cases and be able to draw conclusions based on patterns from that data, or analyzing statistical probability of weather patterns or economic shifts within different societies based on historical data. AI can create very impressive predictions and models based on that vast amount of data that humans have never been able to come close to the scale of in previous history. This power is extremely impressive, and I'm personally very excited to see what that unlocks in our society, what kind of new potential in science and medicine comes about from the power of AI. But in our day-to-day, we can also start to see our reliance on technology grow. You see more and more reference to the over-engagement of dopamine stimulus that young generations and all generations have with our games and videos and social connections online. That technology in general will continue to grow as AI makes that connection deeper and more personalized. Some of this makes sense. Some of this is evolution. If you think about the scientific calculator, we're not calculating on an abacus anymore. That was advancement. There's no need to do that because now we just leverage technology to stand on a higher foundation and reach higher. But there's a fundamental critical thinking that we've always had that could be lost in over-reliance on AI as it develops. It's important that we maintain that ancestral and natural power of intuition that we've developed for so long and not lose it in this onslaught of new stimulus and an aid in form of artificial intelligence. I'm a huge proponent of technology and AI, and I'm really excited about the possibilities that it's going to bring in the near future. I mean, I'm building apps based in AI as well towards the same goal, so I'm all for it. But walking out here in nature and kind of reconnecting and cleansing, I'm reminded of the deep intuitive power that we have as natural beings, as evolved human animals. And I want to make sure to always be able to keep that connection and to tap into that side of myself as I dive deeper and deeper into the power that technology is bringing. For me, a quick and easy way to do that is to go on a hike. I love getting out in nature and moving my body and being a part of the physical world, taking in the senses of sight, sound, and smell. It really brings me to the present. It enables me to calm my conscious mind and think bigger, to listen to my emotional state, to listen to my deeper inner voice. And I can then take that peace that I gained on that excursion into nature and bring it back into my daily life, into business and creativity, so that I can come at challenges and goals with a renewed intuition and perspective. Another method for me to reconnect and calm and simplify my mind and consciousness to the present is through playing music, is using my hands on simple instruments to create and engage with a singular form of creation. Music, a chord, a melody line. It brings me into the moment. It calms me. It's something I love to do. So that's another thing that I use to center. As technology becomes better and better and more integrated into our lives, I think it is important for people to maintain consciousness, to be aware of how frequently and how deeply they're using it, to have the power to disconnect and re-tap into their human side. Technology promises to offer a higher level of human potential never before conceived in society, and it's happening extremely fast. With that speed, we have to make sure that we stay balanced. We need to make sure that we don't lose track of all that we are and all that we've become throughout history, our intuition and our instincts. With that balance, there is a very exciting and very prosperous future ahead for humanity. So as I'm walking out here in this beautiful woods of Tamarindo, Costa Rica, I'm kind of thinking of these things and grateful to live in a time where I have access to both. So my intention is to maintain that balance and have conscious awareness and control of both sides of myself. The natural subconscious wisdom and the conscious ability to wield the great power of AI logic.